Say we will ride or die. Forever in time, you play music for life.
Welcome back after that short pause. I hope you like that one, the sweeper here on Feferity Radio on top of the hour. When you hear this track, Roy is I Am Your Mind, that means my special guest is on the line. I'm ready to have a conversation. And today, the one and only Sandra Cross, the beautiful, amazing, love the voice. And she's still with us here. UK finest lovers rock artist, Sandra Cross with me very soon.
Sister, I am your mind. Within you is a never-ending magnitude of infinite strength, wisdom, and will. You travel my roads through life, never knowing your own true reality, because my thoughts remain like distant quasars. You abuse me, never letting me say and do as I feel. Our thoughts split from love affairs to choice of friends. We argue like two enemies, yet we are good friends. Now there are moments when we harmonize with each other and become one with nature and reality. But these times are few, when after you have replenished yourself, the fear of the truth sets in. We split and you start to run again. Running through women, men, jobs, people, and life, looking for the answer when I had it all along. But I smile, because I am your mind. I was your mind yesterday, I am your mind today, and I'll be your mind tomorrow. And as our end draws near, we will become closer. But you and I, we will never be one. For I will part from you, and you will part from me. You finding another mind, and I another soul. And we'll travel on and on. By the way, I need more than sex to nourish my equilibrium. But I do need sex. I also need sun, trees, stars, creativity, and love. But you saturate my soul with too much of one and not enough of the other. Therefore I cry. But why do we cry? Because tears cleanse the windows of our minds. I am your mind. All your thoughts inside your mind, wanting to be free. Well, now you've got the chance to let your mind grow and be free. Because the music is just trying to say things to free your mind. And if you let your mind be free, then you can understand mine. There's no need afraid of me. I want to be your friend. I'm just trying to give you music from deep within. All of your dreams can become reality. My outreach is full, but you've only been turning me halfway. Turn me up, and alpha and theta waves will spew from your pores. Knowledge, peace, happiness, and prosperity will be placed at your feet. Let's create.
Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. And also shout out to the Muslims who have just finished their fasting. Well, this is one of my favorite tracks. It's got so much in it. It covers everything. And I love it. Shout out to you, Sister Marcia. Well, on the line, the one and only, the amazing, the beautiful. She's been in number one in a lot of things. And also, she's the only daughter to her mother. So she actually has the credibility of persuasion and perseverance and being there exclusively as a female. So I want to welcome here Sandra Cross here on Feferity Radio. Welcome, Sandra. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good. It's such a beautiful, beautiful day today amidst everything that is going on, right?
Oh, isn't it? It just brings a little bit of joy in our lives, you know. When the sun shines, it's absolutely beautiful, you know?
Yeah. So how you've been coping? I mean, are you taking your daily exercises and stuff?
Yeah, I go out every day for an hour. I do more than I used to do. You know, so it's refreshing. And as well as building up the immune system mentally, it builds it up physically as well, you know?
Right.
So, yeah, it's great. It's refreshing, you know? It
is, isn't it? I mean, especially for a musician like yourself, you know, being on the road all the time, being in places all the time, now to be in one place, even though as a musician is a good thing, because, you know, it's very difficult to just be in one place for such a long time, but also it's very challenging, right?
Yeah, it is. Some would say this is a time for reflection, time for resetting, you know, and then others would say, well, no, we really just want to continue to work as we were before. But I think it's more of a bit of everything, really. I think as a musician, I think we need a bit of everything, you know, as opposed, you know, in connection to what's going on today. I think we should look at it both, as well as probably negative but positive at the same time, you know? Right.
I mean, I'll always say it's what you get out of life, isn't it?
Of course.
Life doesn't owe you nothing, but it's what you get out of it, right?
Of course, most definitely, yeah.
You know, it's my pleasure today, actually, to be speaking to you here. And most of my interviews I've done with most people, I haven't met them before. And just to say that, you know, we haven't even met yet to have a sort of conversation like this. So I'm sure on both ends, there is apprehension, there is nervousness as well, right? I'm nervous.
well, I'm sure most DJs, they don't meet all the artists that they interview.
True.
You know, you could be like 10,000 miles across the water, you know, even someone in a totally different country. So, yeah, it's not such a bad thing.
No, it's not. I mean, your story is so incredible. I mean, I got to commend you because, I mean, I have sisters and, you know, even younger ones I could bully, right? And you... you know, you have boys, 7 men. I mean, growing up, I mean, you know, for the inspiration that you've given to a lot of people, both male and female. I mean, as a daughter coming from a family of 7 big men, I mean, as an only girl, how does that feel?
How does it feel?
Yeah.
Well, I've had different... You know, generally, it's a great feeling, you know, even when I was younger, you know, I must admit when I was younger, I didn't sort of realize how great a thing that was. Because, you know, being young, you know, you're you know, happy-go-lucky here and then, you're not really thinking. But as you get older, I began to realize how great and how special that was to be nestled in between so many guys, you know. It's great, a great feeling, you know.
Yeah. Did you get protected or get really like, you know, put in your place as the youngest one?
Yeah, I mean, protected, yeah. I mean, most of the time, I didn't even realize I was being protected. So,
all right.
Yeah, because being young, you just think that's how it's supposed to be. And as I said, you only realize that as you get older and you learn about appreciation and priorities and respect. Then you realize, wow, I was truly protected by my brothers.
Yeah. I mean, looking back, used to play your tracks in parties in the clubs and everything like that. I mean, I really enjoyed it. To be speaking to you today is just a fulfillment of what I've been doing and the passion of what I have as well. And same for you. I didn't even know that. Some people think you're just a singer, but you are a very talented piano player.
Yeah, I'm not exactly an Alicia Keys, although I'd love to be an Alicia Keys.
I think she took over from you.
Sorry?
I said she took over from you, probably.
Well, Alicia Keys went the long way. She went and actually studied the music. She studied, playing the piano. Whereas me, being so impatient with life as I was, I didn't take the time out to actually study it, sort of like thoroughly. I actually play by ear. So what I hear, I play. This is like a faster route. It's like a fast track in the music industry. You it's a faster route. But it still works. It
does. I mean, it shows that there is something in you musically that you have to enact, isn't it? Because I was part of the choir myself, but I never studied music. But I can sing what is in front of me. I can sing my own part brilliantly. I learn also firstly by hearing. Play the drums by hearing and singing by hearing, and then you learn a little bit of your note and your part. But that shows, isn't it, there is something in there that needs to come out no matter what.
Of course, you're definitely right there. Definitely right. Do you actually read music though, or do you just totally listen and play by ear?
I can read my bass part. I can read all the bass part, but to read music, I can't really read music because I didn't go that far to study.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it works, doesn't it? It still works.
It does. I mean, at 14 or so, amidst every tribulation, like you said, about, the challenges, you were able, for most musicians, they will have a music or that they record or a track or a single in their 40s, 20s, and so on. I mean, but for you, you had your track being played on radio, on the air, everywhere in England, but yet still you couldn't really understand why. The big fuss about it.
Yeah. Well, you mean from when I started, or just generally?
Yeah, like your first track, that was released, I Adore You.
Yeah. Oh my God! Well, I was only 14 at the time.
Yeah.
So for a young girl of 14, for me, I still didn't know what I was doing or where I was going. I had no total understanding of life, what it meant and what it's for. So basically, the talent that I had, I knew I could sing, but I didn't really plan. I didn't really say I want to be a singer when I grow up. You know what I mean? I knew I just had the talent, and I knew I could do it, and I just more or less did it. But it wasn't anything planned. So hearing my song on the radio at the time, it was great. It was a great feeling, but it was like, okay, let's do the next track. It was just, what's the word? It was just really sort of like, I suppose I was sort of like so carefree with life and sort of like just getting on with it and not really taking a moment to think, well, Sandra, did you know that this is something great?
It is.
I didn't have that sort of patience. I just went on to the next thing that the next thing I had to do, really. So
at 14, no one at that age will reckon, will imagine the enormous magnitude of what you've done. At 14 is really, take us through that time, how it all happened for you. Playing in the church. I know you're from a Pentecostal background. Your parents were very strict, were very religious. Tell us how it all began for you at 14 when you released I Adore You.
Well, at the time, I was in the church. Well, half in and half out of the church, actually. I was a bit of a sort of like, I was kind of like rebellious.
Yeah, let's say rebel. I mean, we're all rebellious somehow.
Because of being forced to go at that time. And my parents meant me well. So, but I was still a sort of like, rebellion really. But how I Adore You came about, when I used to go to school, I just never used to go to my lessons. Now, anyone young out there listening, don't take my advice. You make sure you go to your lessons, go to your classes. Don't be like me, basically, because what happened to me was sheer luck. Really, right. I have to put it down to luck. I didn't go to my lessons. Instead of going into my classes, I went straight into the piano room, and that's where I wrote all my songs and and stuff like that.
You wrote your song at that time? I mean, wow.
Yeah, I wrote all my songs. We had a piano at home and we had a piano at school.
Yes.
So when my mum sent me to school, I just went straight into the piano room at school and continued to write my songs. And I had my little audience as well. All my friends came around. It was like a little it was like a
jumbo
show.
Yeah.
Everyone booked their time, what time they come in. Thinking about it, I could have actually charged them and I would have been rich today.
You should.
But there were queues and queues of girls, listening to my songs and sort of like in admiration and, oh gosh, we love your songs. And even at the time then, I just thought, well, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
I just write my songs. And I Adore You came about at that time when I just wrote this song, and I entered a talent contest with it. I decided to enter a talent contest, and with myself and a friend, and we called ourselves Love and Unity, and we won the contest, and the prize was to actually record I Adore You.
Right. Right.
So then it was recorded, and then within 3 weeks of it being recorded, it went straight to #1.
I mean, that is incredible. I mean, when you was writing it, what were you thinking about when you was writing that track?
Well, how I write my song, how I usually write my songs, I usually get the music. I usually compose the music first. Mm-hmm. So I had the music already. I'd already composed the music. So the words wasn't really important. It was just like a puzzle, really. You find a piece and it fits. So basically, I just found lyrics that fitted the track that I'd composed. Yes. For me, writing music at the time was all about the music, not actually the lyrics.
Right.
Mm-hmm. The lyrics for me at the time was just like a nursery rhyme or poem or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the lyrics for I Adore You just came about as a part of fitting the lyrics to the music to my composition, really.
Was there any the title I Adore You? Was there any reason to write it? I mean, when you was writing, I know you said the composition came first, but when you sat down to write it, what was it that you thought about? What significant thing that happened at that time for you to entitle it, if you did, but to write the song?
Trying to remember at the time. I think maybe I just got ideas from the sort of music that I was listening to at the time. Like, for example, I listened to a lot of Gladys Knight, 3 Degrees, Stylistics. So I think it was a bit of each, really. I think I sort of just maybe got the actual, idea from how they wrote their songs. They sang a lot about love and and all that, and So I basically got the idea from what I can remember. It's probably from those singers at the time. I knew it had to be about love. It couldn't have been about my little black cat running over the wall. It was more about a woman or a girl being in love with a boy. So
were you at that time? I mean, who was it?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Because I was so young, I didn't know anything. I didn't even know what love was.
I mean, this is the purity, I think, about that track. Because when you listen to that track and also the longevity of it, because it has a sense of purity on it, sense of innocence on it. When you look at, the girl at that time who wrote that, and you look at the history before she wrote that, and even now listening to it, you can see the sense of purity, innocence, and passion, and some music that do, some music that do last for time, I think, is coming from the heart. Before we play the track, you said you had a piano at home, Were you also practicing at home where your parents like, yeah, this is my daughter? Because I know back then, you know, I mean, our parents want us to be lawyers, doctors, nothing to be a musician. It's like, that's a failure.
Right, yeah. So you know what I'm going to say now, innit?
What did you say?
They were probably thinking the opposite. They were thinking, what is this girl doing the piano? Get off the piano and go and read a book or something. So, yeah, I came across a lot of, you know, at the time, struggling to do what I found interesting, which was writing music and singing. Right. As far as my parents were concerned, you know, they were adamant churchgoers, so they just believed that that's not what I should have been doing. I should have been, as you said, sticking my head into books and reading, and maybe becoming a doctor or you know, whatever it was at the time. But so I came across a lot of you know, what's the word? I don't use the right word.
Obstacle.
You know, this disagreement. They didn't agree with what I was doing. You know?
Oh Lord! And then here you are. I mean, from that song, you went out to do some great things. I know. I mean, wherever they are now, they've been saying to themselves, we should have let that girl carry on. But we're going to let the music play here on Feferity Radio. Let's take our listeners back to the first track that you wrote, and that was like #1 for so many weeks. I Adore You here by Sandra Cross. And my special guest today is Sandra Cross, one of our UK's finest lovers rock artists. Let's listen to the first track she wrote, age 14.
I love the way you talk. I adore you. Why? Because you belong to me.
(1979) and remain on the chart for 4 good weeks. #1 on British chart. Released on Studio 79 or 76 Records. first ever track there by Sandra Cross, written by herself. Incredible start to her life as a female artist. Welcome back, Sandra. That is incredible.
Thank you.
I mean, listening to that, you think it's over yet?
What? What's over?
I mean, you know, this music, I mean, the longevity of it. You think we're going to get bored of it?
Well, I think it depends on where you are in the world and how much you know about it. I mean, you know, this kind of music I believe was originated here in the UK. But, you know, genres don't last forever, you know. So I couldn't even answer that. I think it's just, you know, whoever knows about it and how much they love it to carry on supporting it, really, you know.
I mean, lovers rock in the UK, I mean, that was one of the genres that was developed here, you know, like other genres as well, but lovers rock specifically. At that time, tell us the atmosphere in the UK and how you know, immerse yourself into that, because you were listening to more like soul and other music like that. I mean, tell us about the beginning of lovers rock.
Well, I think there's so many different versions to the beginning. So many people got different opinions of how it began and who it began with. I can only tell you from my perspective, from what I remember of how I see it,
yes,
beginning. And basically, as I said, I started listening to people like, you know, Donna Summer, even ABBA, you know, people that, you know, Andrew Gold, you know, Gilbert O'Sullivan. And I think those are all kinds of forms of lovers rock, because if you just listen to their kind of music, you can easily just you can go to a studio and just put an actual chip on that music and it becomes almost like lovers rock. So I think lovers rock is more broader than what we even think, you know what I mean?
Right.
So, and then in the later stages, I started to listen to Janet Kay, Carol Thompson, and Louisa Marks, you know. So for me, it began by sitting down at a little record player and just listening and loving the style, you know, of how they sung it. And, you know, and then that made me want to go out and hear it live. When I say live, I mean being played on a sound system.
Right.
So that's what I started really, how I got to hear lovers rock. I started going out to what they used to call blues dances.
Yes.
You know, sneaking out and jumping back in the van. You know, listening
and all that.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Just to hear lovers rock music. You know, because that's the only place I could hear it, really. You know. So that's how it began for me, really.
I mean, that was also at the period where reggae music was, you know, so much a thing here in the UK. And to know that British, West Indian children have coined a little phrase called lovers rock. What was I'm sure at the time, what was the tension between the fans, because we loved it, you know, this gave us a lot of room to be intimate with one another, less of more conscious. But how was the tension back then, at that time, from the Rasta community who are so militant about reggae music and the consciousness of it?
Well, I think it was two different types. I mean, to this day, it can be argued, but as far as I'm concerned, as someone who's been involved in it and who's experienced it, for me, I separated the two, because even in the dance, when I was used to go in the dance, when I used to hear sort of like culture music, I used to leave and go and get a drink, because it never used to sink in. I couldn't understand why these people were so unhappy. I mean, basically, I just wanted to be, you know, I just wanted to hear fun music, and as far as I'm concerned, culture music was just quite depressing. So, you know, basically, don't ever pull me to dance to James Brown or even Sugar Minor at the time. I said, no, that's too depressing. I want to dance to like Janet Kay and Carol Thompson, because that's joy, music of happiness, you know. So I always separated the two, always, and to this day I still do separate the two. I don't connect them. I don't link them together, and they're both but yet still the both genres are reggae.
Yeah.
I mean, that is something that can be argued, you know, where, you know, is in terms of Jamaica reggae and UK reggae. That's another interview, basically. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My views are very, very. I've got very hard views on that, and then I could be wrong, but that's just how I see it. You know what I mean?
If you are speaking, Sandra, because you've lived the life and you know it, so that is really authentic. It's nothing to be judging you about whether you're right or wrong, because you've lived it. And because most of, as a DJ as well, and a lot of us know there were a psychological tension, not musically, but a psychological tension, because, you know, here comes the Lovers Rock. All of a sudden, it's like we could not hear to the culture, the Burning Spear, and all of this guy is like, we just want a rubber dub and things like that, you know, and and for the rest of the community, go ahead.
Yeah, but you know what? I respected then, and I still do respect the culture, reggae and culture. If you just separate the two, if you hear something, because it's all reggae, no matter how you much want to split it up, it's all reggae. So if you were here one side of the reggae industry going great, you know, leave us to deal with it. You leave us in our section, and you stay in your section. That's how I looked at it. That's how I looked at it in the beginning. But I just kind of feel a bit, you know, hard-hearted when I think back to certain artists coming and hearing how well the Lovers Rock was doing, and then came and claimed and said it was theirs, even because it's reggae. You know what I mean? And I just never agreed with it. You know, I would say I still don't agree with it. I've never agreed with, because UK Lovers Rock, I don't believe was ever in Jamaica. You know, reggae was in Jamaica, but not UK Lovers Rock. They never used to call it Lovers Rock in Jamaica.
No.
We called it Lovers Rock. In Jamaica, they call that reggae. Whether it be Dennis Brown, Sugar Minor, whoever, they called it reggae. We called it Lovers Rock. The likes of Janet Kay, Carol Thompson, Gina De Bambo, Louisa Marks, we call that reggae. Louisa Marks probably on the edge of it, because she was more sort of doing the Jamaican style. She had Jamaican producers. Yeah. You know what I mean? But I didn't have Jamaican producers. I had British producers. Yeah. You know what I mean? So my music might have sounded slightly different from Louisa's. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And Judy Moore as well. I mean, Judy Moore was more of the conscious side as well, isn't it?
Yeah, you know, and that was their music. Martha Griffith, that was their music. That's their reggae. They get more respect than we do. You know what I mean? Which is not a big deal. You know what I mean? But I just always felt that Lovers Rock, what we call Lovers Rock today, people like Janet Kay, Louisa Marks, you know, 15, 16, 17, you know, that's UK Lovers Rock, you know what I mean? And you know.
I mean, it is a shame, really, because, you know, it's like UK has been like garage music or drum and bass or jungle. These are all UK sort of like, you know, musical genre that came out of here. And so is Lovers Rock. And it just shows that, you know, when it comes to music, instead of we embrace it, and this is why sometimes I find it really political, because music is music. And I can hear what you're saying. Music is music. You saw a certain a genre that relates to you. You feel part of it because of the society that you were born in, and you feel part of that, and you want to make good of the society you were born in, relating to the reggae music that came already from Jamaica. But yet still, it's like when you look at the Caribbean, the way they were dissing up, Lovers Rock at that time was unbelievable to comprehend, isn't it? It was difficult to comprehend.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So I agree that reggae belongs to Jamaica, yes. You know, it came from a long way back, from the Ska days and all that. Yeah, I agree. You know what I mean? But, you know, when I think about how the way we suffered, we as UK artists, it's not just Jamaicans suffered. We UK artists suffered as well, because you know why? We never get recognised like how the Jamaican artists get recognised. We were always in one small pot. For whatever reason, we were always in one small pot. Why? Because we weren't Jamaicans. Jamaicans got the biggest respect in terms of music which is great. You know what I mean? But we little UK, because they call us little UK artist industry, fair enough, you know what I mean? But we still had the industry. We still had the industry, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we might not have been respected across the world like Jamaica, but we still had our industry. So that's why I found it hard that we had a little bit of industry, and you know, and it was still still out there for the taking. Because why? Because we are reggae, not you. You know what I mean? It was just always there for the taking. But you know, the fault as well, we were weak as artists. We never had great business structures behind us. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? All that had something to do with it as well. So I'm not saying that we were, you know, we're suffering and we were the sufferers of it, because it was some of it was down to our mistakes as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
So,
it's just a shame. But girl, you went out and got another single that was in the chart for about 6 consecutive years, Country Living. And that alone, if the Jamaicans don't really think that you are a thorn on their side, then I don't know what you're thinking. Country Living is another big one for you, wasn't it?
10 weeks in the chart.
10.
10 weeks, yeah.
Amazing. And let's take a listen to that, because that again is another Sandra Cross trademark. I mean, that was all around the world, and you kind of solidified at that time when this came out, like Lovers Rock. Yes, we're not going nowhere. We're here to stay. Let's listen to it here on Feferity Radio. My special guest, Sandra Cross. This is Country Living.
Fresh and clean, going back to natural living, where the grass grows tall and green, and the skies can be seen. Ooh. I say goodbye to London City. City life is not far. Stars shine brightly, and the sound of nature's voice lulls you to sleep. I'm going back. There's room enough for birds to fly, time enough to try all the things you wanna do. Country life, all with you. Going back, I'm going back. Going back, I'm going back. I'm going back. Going back, I'm going back. Going back, there's room enough for birds to fly, time enough to try all the things you wanna do. Country life, all with you. Going back, I'm going back. I'm going back to country living. That's where I was meant to be. Gonna take life nice and easy. Going back to my old hometown. Gonna live as I please. I'm going back. There's room enough for birds to fly, time enough to try all the things you wanna do. Country life, all
Country Living here on Feferity Radio. Sandra Cross, 1986, you know. Welcome back, Sandra. Wow, what a track. I mean, a lot of fans, I'm not sure whether you remember them or not, but Kazia is saying to say hi to you. She goes, she might not remember me, but he's saying hi to you.
Okay, hi.
I mean, this track, I mean, like I said, you listen to some of the artists, and it's not because I'm talking to you, but every time I listen to you, Janet Kay, you know, Louisa Mark, I mean, it's so relevant. It's never really like, say, you're going to have enough of it. But tell us about this track. Did you really imagine it when you did it at the time? Because from I Adore You to this one was a few years gone, and you've been on the scene now by then. But did you imagine that this track was going to make it so big?
No, well, I'm sure most artists or singers, when they record a song, they don't imagine how great it's going to be or how not. You know what I mean? How it's not going to be that great. You don't. You just go. It's like throwing mud against the wall. You know, most of the mud will probably slide, but some of it will stick. But we don't know which part is going to stick. So with Country Living, that was just like go in, record the song. Like it was like along with the thousands of others that I had recorded up to that point. It was just another song. You know, this is why in the industry, there's no way you can determine or predict what is going to be a hit or what's going to be successful. You just cannot, because the least of what you're expecting, that's what happens. That's when something happens. And Country Living, I didn't even like the song. So
hold on a minute. You said you didn't like the song?
No, not at all. Didn't like it.
Why?
It wasn't my type of song. You know, that's not what I would have sung, really. Given the choice,
right?
You know, I wouldn't have chosen Country Living. You know what I mean?
Right.
And personally, some people might not agree with me, but even for me, this is not lovers. Country Living isn't lovers rock.
Okay.
I don't feel it is. It doesn't feel like lovers rock to me. It just feels like reggae. You know what I mean?
Well, this is it, though. I mean, you kind of bring in the argument now to say what is really lovers rock. Is it Janet Kay? Is it Louisa Mark? Is it Sandra Cross? Or is it a kind of style of music? I mean, style of sound?
Well, I think that Louisa Marks' style was different from Janet Kay's.
Yeah.
I think Louisa Marks was more of a rubber-dub Jamaican vibe.
Right.
Kind of style. Yeah, whereas Janet Kay, Carol Thompson, Gina DeBambo, totally different style. For me, from my point of view, it just felt like two different styles. But you know, I wouldn't call Louisa Marks cultural music. It's still reggae. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the difference. You know, it feels like there's reggae and then there's UK lovers rock, but they're both reggae. But it just feels, you know, both of them just feel different. You know what I mean? And and from that's where we get that's how we're seen. That's how it's perceived. You know, by those two different slight styles. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's kind of weird, really. It's never been concluded for me. You know, it's always been a mystery. You know?
Yeah, I mean, it's like with the R&B and the soul, you know, or the hip hop. There is, I mean, like especially R&B and hip hop. I mean, it's very difficult to cut through sometimes, isn't it? Yeah,
I mean, R&B and soul. Yeah, what is the difference? You know what I mean? It's hard. It's hard to determine it, really. So yeah, it's similar. That is a good example, actually. Yeah, but I mean, lovers rock for me. It was, as I said, for me it was more the style, the music, more so than the lyrics.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, also there's a style of grooving. I think, you know, if you're not from the UK, if you put lovers rock into Jamaica, probably the way they will groove to it will be completely ragamuffin compared to the way we do it, right?
Well, you could say that. I wouldn't say ragamuffin. I'd say they would deal with it. They wouldn't deal with it so soft and
And gentle. Go on.
And empathetic. They'd be more, rough. Rugged. I did some recordings in Jamaica with Sly and Robbie, and their approach to my style of vocals was rough. Even though it was rough and soft, but the approach was rough. It was like a rough and tumble. They didn't give me any cushions to sit on. I had to sit on the wall. You know what I mean? So, and I learned to adapt to that wall quite quickly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, tell us about this wild bunch, the ladies, because when you kind of tap in the wild bunch, and you got these kind of skinhead people in front of you, you don't see really black girls. Tell us about the wild bunch. I know it's Mad Professor behind that. Tell us a little bit.
Yeah, it was more it was more my professor's idea, really. It wasn't like none of our ideas. We were put together, like our what do you call it? That girl group, that 5-girl group. Can't remember their names now.
Spice Girls. Yeah.
Spice Girls put together. I mean, they didn't even know each other. They were just put together.
So it's like a Britain Got Talent kind of thing.
Yeah, it was more that. It was more that's how it felt. It felt like we were put together, and the name was given to us, and it kind of worked at the time, and our characters worked as well. It worked perfectly. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, 3 girls with the same names. It was me, Sandra Cross, and then there was Sandra Andrews and Sandra Williams. Not Sandra Andrews, Sandra Sampson and Sandra Williams. So that was part of the different. It was like unique. We all had the same names, and then we had all 3 different characters, 3 different styles of singing, 3 different tones. You know what I mean? But it still blended together.
Was this in London, or was somewhere attached to Bristol? I mean, anything attached to Bristol on these girls?
Bristol?
Yeah.
No, okay. We were formed in South London. We were all from South London. Okay. Yeah. We were all from South London, and we just toured Europe with that kind of rootsy kind of vibe. You know what I mean? Because that's kind of big out there in Europe, and they love the fact that 3 black girls from the ghetto areas of London coming to Europe and performing in that vibe. It worked at the time, definitely.
Yeah, and also you've worked with a few Japanese labels out there. Yeah. What do you make of the Japanese industry of what you call it, assimilating our music into theirs?
Oh, you mean Japan? Oh,
yeah.
That was just a project, an idea that a journalist, his name was Koichi. He had this idea to merge reggae with jazz.
Right.
And that worked. It worked. It was quite a nice project. We did 2 albums in Japan. And we toured Japan for 4 years on the 2 albums, and it was great. It was a great success.
How was the reception over there? I know Japanese people love black music to bits.
Well, I can only describe the one thing that stands out for me in Japan that I always remember is when it's walking into a big department store, sort of like the equivalent to our like John Lewis or Selfridges, and you walk into this big, massive department store, and you're hearing reggae music.
Wow.
Instead of Beatles or
or Japanese music.
You're hearing Natty Poo, and this is like this. So that always stands out for me. I mean, the reception from Japan, beautiful people, beautiful place. They love music. I can't work them out really, because they're just like, they're different. They're just different. Because you think, well, they're Japanese, so what is the connection with reggae? And there is a big connection. Up to now, I haven't worked it out yet, but there's definitely a big connection. I think they're almost Caribbean. They must come from some Caribbean.
But the only thing for me is like, Japanese love our music to bits, but do they love our food?
Well, they don't even have to love our food, basically. You know what I mean?
Well, they're gonna have the whole thing, not just the music.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Yeah, I mean, they love our, and they'll go to Jamaica and be a part of the community. You know what I mean? There's a connection, definitely, way back.
Yeah.
There's got to be, because they're so different. They're more connected to us than
Yes.
than like Europe or wherever.
Yes. It is true. It is true on that. I mean, talking about, music that meant something to you also. You chose Andrew Gold, Never Let Us Sleep Away. This is some of the music that you would love to listen to. What does that mean to you? I mean, what does the music mean to you?
Andrew Gold.
Gold.
I used to love his music as a small child. Growing up listening to music, I used to hear that type of music. Andrew Gold, Gilbert O'Sullivan, and that it means a lot to me because you don't really hear a lot of it nowadays. But it means so much because it reminds me of my early days of introduction of recognizing sounds and how harmonies blend together. I think that was the early stage of me actually learning harmonies. Was listening to people like Andrew Gold, and it was just amazing. It was just amazing, and I've never forgotten it. It was just like the beginning, the structure of my structure in music, listening, because I have a fine ear for music. That's why I don't read it. I just hear it, and I think those type of artists were the ones that sort of like grabbed my ears when it comes to music and notes and chords.
I think you're distinguishing really a musician from an artist by what you're saying, I guess.
Yeah, because an artist is not just, there's so many components to an artist. It shouldn't just be one thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and as I get older, I've realized that there's so many different pockets, so many different compartments in my talent that I didn't even know that I had, basically.
Right.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, it is amazing. I mean, hearing you here on Feferity Radio, it is really amazing. Never Let Us Sleep Away. Is it something that is significant to you, this track?
Not the lyrics. Not the lyrics, but just the music, the music, the way, the production of the music, the way the vocals and the music was put together.
Yeah.
Great lyrics as well, of course.
Yeah.
But it was just the way this song was written and the way it was put together. I've never, it's just stuck out in me for all my life, really.
Well, it's brilliant that you choose that because a lot of us haven't listened to this for such a long time, and now you're bringing it back to the fore. We should all listen to it and enjoy it. Andrew Gold, Never Let Us Sleep Away, a choice by my special guest, Sandra Cross. Let's all enjoy it together here on Feferity Radio.
Talk to my baby on the telephone, long distance. I never would have guessed
about the low volume earlier on. Such a beautiful, I now can really understand where Sandra Cross is coming from in terms of the melody and arrangement. Beautiful, beautiful, isn't it, Sandra?
Oh, beautiful. Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's one of them sing-along tunes. Whenever it plays, you know, it takes you back to that memory lane, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
So, I mean, you've been on the scene, and then, I mean, in the late or so, I mean, 90s, you went away like all musicians and took a break. What was the reason?
What, for the break?
Yeah.
I think when I took that break, I think some would argue, some would disagree, but for me, it felt like I was just like, there was like a pause in the industry, you know, and I think I definitely needed that break. I mean, I went to Barbados, spent some time in Barbados, you know, with the family and growing up my family and stuff like that. And that gave me time to reflect and to figure out what I really wanted it, you know, in my career, you know, whether I wanted to continue it or not. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it was just a thinking thing. It was just going on and just, you know, sitting in the hills and just thinking, you know, what to do with my life from there on, basically. Yeah.
And what did you conclusion you came to?
That I hadn't finished yet. that it wasn't the end.
Is it like pressure from the fans, or pressure from the producers, or you felt that, well, no, I ain't done yet?
Yeah, well, no, it wasn't. It was pressure from me, my inner soul, saying, well, no, you're not finished yet. There's plenty more that I have to do, and it didn't necessarily mean me as a singer artist. As I said earlier on, there's so many different compartments to this career that it's not even just. Besides singing, there's other little adventures or other little opportunities that can be, you know what I mean? That is out there for me, basically. So yeah,
I mean,
decided,
yeah. It's not a lover's rock, but
no,
it's a reggae, right? So what? Go on.
Yeah, it's reggae. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the lover's rock scene was very short-lived. Would you say that so? Would you agree with that?
In terms of years, I don't think it was short-lived in terms of years. I think it was short-lived in terms of respect. You know what I mean?
In terms of
just general respect for it. That was short-lived. That you know, love was short-lived in that aspect.
Right.
For me, absolutely. Because once you lose, respect is a big thing, and I think that basically maybe I leaned too much on local opinion, you know, in terms of community and people in the UK, you know, basically what they really thought of music. But for me, maybe I took it to heart, but I experienced the core, the real, you know, what I just experienced, how certain people, certain industries or businesses, or even people really look at UK Loves Rock. It was short-lived because it hasn't got any further, whereas Jamaican reggae is still going, even though it's changed. Jamaican reggae, there's been a reset. You know, it's changed in its ways, and Lovers Rock never really changed. So that's the fault with Lovers Rock. That's why it was short-lived, because we never put in the effort to change it. We just thought that it would just last forever, and nothing lasts forever. So we just took we just took it for granted, really. I think we never put the energy behind it to push it onto our children, for them to pick it up and carry on. We just didn't do that. And I really don't, I couldn't tell you the reason why. I think it was so great, so good at the time, we didn't see it slipping through our fingers.
I mean, it is, you're right. And also it goes for most of the genres that have been created by black folks here in this country, that all been, you know, the jungle, the garage. Now you've got what was the new one? Grime. And all of these, it's like they will come and they will pop so big, and then they flop so incredibly. Why is that? Is it because of the black industry here in the UK? It's not that efficient for things to be so continuous?
All right, so let me ask you a question while you're asking me one. Why hasn't Jamaican reggae popped and crumbled? Why are they still continuing? Why can, you know, as old as they are and as crippled as they are, artists, they can still travel the whole world and perform to sold out venues? That industry hasn't crumbled. So why has the UK industries crumble? Why do UK industries crumble so easily and so quickly, and yet still the Jamaican industry just, carries on?
Well, I mean, this is it then. I mean, could it be that the artists themselves, they didn't come together, or they were just doing it on an individual, separate level, or they didn't see it as something that they could build upon and let their children, or something they could build upon, showing their children that this is UK made and it needs to be preserved? I don't know.
Yeah, you could be right there. That makes sense. I agree with the not coming together, and maybe we're looking at it as a separate thing. You know what I mean? That could be true. That could be true, because I think we just looked at it as just we were just doing our own thing, no coming together of it. So that could be, one of the reasons why it didn't have the strength to hold up. You could be right there, but that's exactly what happened. That is exactly it. So, when people talk about Lovers Rock today, I smile and I shake my head and I just say, yeah, it was a great time. But I don't even want to call it Lovers Rock anymore. I just want to call it reggae. I just want to say, you know what, I sing reggae. That's what I'm known for singing at the moment. I just sing reggae. You know what I mean? And then that makes me feel, that I'm still doing something,
I mean, this is, it's really a pain. I mean, it's really painful for an artist who spent the beginning of their music career on a particular genre, maybe have the full belief that this was gonna go for the longest of time, and then happen to really revert back to something, even though reggae is, reggae came from Jamaica, and you have an affiliation there, but yet you were born here and trying to make sense of the music here and trying to manifest that genre which was created so lovely and so potent, and it's quite frustrating really to see that the musicians behind it, or the record label behind it, or the individual producers were not so much interested in making that that passion fulfilled, isn't it?
Yeah, well, because I'm tired of being blamed, for, oh, well, you're the artist, you should have taken care of your business. I'm tired of being blamed for that, because
really?
I feel it. Yeah, I feel it's more to do. I feel it's also to do with the record labels and producers at the time, because they weren't educated in running labels. They didn't know how to run a record label. You know what I mean? They could see money coming from it, but they weren't. They didn't know nothing about supporting their artists. It's a money it was just like pound signs. Well, yeah, I'll just get this. There was no plan for, or no future seen. They didn't see a future for us. You know what I mean? So it's not just the artist to blame in it, as far as far as Lovers Rock is concerned, it wasn't just the artist. It was just the whole thing, the whole setup, the whole thing. Producers, record labels, the so-called producers and record labels, you know, at the time, they were just all for themselves. They were all for themselves. They didn't care about us. You know what I mean? And so basically, you know, that's the reason. That's why, you know, we don't have, you know, big houses and flash cars like Spice Girls and you know, them groups there. You know what I mean? Because we didn't get proper management, proper record labels behind us. That's basically it.
I mean, it is so true. We can draw a parallel to even us as black people here in the UK, isn't it? That even though we are so similar in our experiences, in our cultures, I'm talking about the Caribbean and the African in the continent, and also here in the diaspora, how divided we are, even though we recognize the same problem or the same difficulty or opposition, but yet we're so divided in finding an answer to it.
You're right. That's exactly it.
You know, I mean, because I mean, the reason I said it, I've been playing music, I've been on radio for nearly 30 years, and my initial aim when I started was that African music was not played here on the radio. Not at all. You know, the only way you can hear African music is on BBC Radio with Charlie Gillett at that time, and so I started doing it. But knowing that I did it with the innocence of thinking that, well, as black people, we will embrace this, not knowing that that was an obstacle. I was coming against people who think that this music never really connected to them. And now we've seen Afrobeat coming back full circle to 20 years on. After that, Afrobeat now is being played in every homes, even though, and now we're beginning to learn some African patois through Afrobeat. And that shows how late sometimes we are here in the UK in coming together. Yeah,
I agree. Totally.
So what, I would just kind of like, you've been there, you know, you have a long, respectable time in the music. I mean, seeing all of these deficiencies that we have amongst ourselves, whether it be through music, politics, history, or whatever it is, what is stopping us really and truly, Sandra, as people to just say, well, listen, we ain't going to win if we're so divided. Why can't we just come together and realize what we've got together?
Change. It's change. It's, you know, it's just people's lives. It's just change in terms of who we are, what our lives are, really, how we're surviving, what our priorities are. And that's all the collective. That's all the collective of it. In terms of, I'm talking about Lovers Rock and the Lovers Rock industry. I can only talk for what I know. And, you know, it wasn't that serious to us. Most of the Lovers Rock singers, they had 9-to-5 jobs as well. So basically, you know, there's only a few of us that lived it 24 hours. You know what I mean? You don't find the Beatles working and doing a 9-to-5. You know what I mean? Most Lovers Rock artists, they didn't take it seriously. It was just like a hobby, a side thing. You know what I mean? That's why we're in the position we are today, because it wasn't taken seriously.
I mean, maybe to the people that really matter, but we as DJs and lovers of music, we took all our artists and musicians very seriously. When you're saying that, is it the country or is it the industry? Not really like promoters now we're talking about, but you know, the country as a whole, in terms of the music fraternity, to really respect black musicians, because like you're very right what you said. I mean, all of these artists, white artists, they will not even work for the rest of your life if they manage themselves well and look after themselves. That's all they got to do. But then they have a force behind them to make it possible. Are you saying that as a black artist, we don't have that force behind us to make that possible?
Why can white artists, have a singing career? They can't even sing anyway. Most of them can't sing.
Yeah,
they have what they call it entertainment. Yeah, it's entertainment. It's not singing. It's entertainment. Why can they, after a certain period, they can leave their entertainment and go straight onto something like TV and become TV presenters or radio presenters You know, they've got a support system behind them. What can we do? I've had 6 number ones, 5 number ones. That makes over 12 albums. You know what I mean? But yet, still, all through that time, it just felt like I was still in the same ditch. There's nothing great came out of it. You know what I mean? There's nothing great came out of it. I'm sorry to say, but that's just how it is. That's just how it. That's what I'm saying. That's what it is. You know what I mean? There's nothing great. I can't go into BBC and become a TV presenter, or go into BBC and become a radio presenter. You know what I mean? They probably even haven't heard of my music.
I mean,
you know what I mean?
You can come to Feferity and be a presenter. We will know. We will know about your music, definitely.
You mean say we, but it's who you talk. When you say we, what you mean by we?
Yeah.
How big is we? We is not big enough to do anything. You know what I mean? Look at our artists now. We've got 5,000 followers on Facebook, and we put out a new album. By right, if you're my friend on Facebook and a song track is 99 pence, you should be able to just download a song for 99 pence, and you say that you're my fan. You know what I mean? And that's 5,000. You know what I mean? So basically, where's the support? That's what I'm saying. That's what frustrates me. There's no support. But now, back then it was that was going then. That was then. You know what I mean? The music. I'm surprised to see the music still being played on radio. To be honest.
Well, it will be played, and it will continue to be played on.
My aim is to be current. The fact that I'm current, I'm always in the studio, and I'm always recording, and I try to keep up with whatever's going on in the industry today. And it's not a lot that's going on.
No, it's not a lot. I mean, yeah, go on.
But yet still, I'm proud that I can come out with productions like Through His Eyes. Through His Eyes, you know, is just an example of me hanging on to whatever's left of the industry. And plus me, it's not called Lovers Rock, it's called Reggae. UK Reggae, you know, Lovers Rock. Nah.
I mean, it is true, because back in the days, if LPs were still going on as relevant, well, it's still relevant anyway, I do sometimes buy still. But when you look at the money that we've spent buying records, we were supporting our artists. You know, we were buying the records, we were really participating and supporting the artists. Now there is much more digital age. Do you think, as black people, because I see that all the time, where people, even back in the days, you know, people come to me and say, oh, could you record me that? And then, you know, they don't even want to pay for it, and then they don't even want to go and buy. So do you think, because of the digital age that we're in now, that especially for us as black people, we don't really buy, we don't really support artists in that way, we just download stuff from other people, free stuff? You think that is one thing that is gone against us?
Well, it's not just black people, everybody does it.
Well, I'm speaking specifically because I know artists as well from Sierra Leone and from other countries. I mean, their music is not really as selling as well. They might have 1 million followers, but when they release a single, they won't have £1 million from the black, market. And also, we don't, back in the days, even we still do now, if reggae artist was to come from Jamaica or anywhere, or you say, oh, Sandra Cross is on Brixton Academy or wherever, we will go to watch. But to buy the album after the performance is something that we find incredibly difficult. Why is that? Let's try and get Sandra back here on Feferity Radio. I think she just dropped out. We're trying to figure out what is happening here. You're listening to Freestyle here on Feferity Radio. My special guest, Sandra Cross. Let's take a track from her. This is You Are Lying, and then we'll try and get Sandra back here on Feferity Radio.
But I didn't
Well, I think this is real lovers rock here. I tell you what, we're just having a conversation here with me and Sandra Cross here on Feferity Radio. Then look at the phone and I hear the bling, 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 but not knowing that the battery was like leaving us alone. Sandra, welcome back.
Oh, yeah, one of those things.
Indeed. Indeed. But, you know, when you're having such a really warm conversation like this, you know, you tend to really forget about everything else around you, and it is clear.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what you call real lovers rock, your line, right?
Yeah, definitely, yeah. Lovers rock, yeah. Your line came out at the height of the lovers rock, when it was really kicking.
Yeah.
Your line came out at the right time, basically. It was all about timing, you know, and yeah, it was just it just carried on. It's like a domino effect, you know what I mean? You know, it just came out at the right time, you know.
I mean, I remember back in the days, you know, when you're actually out playing in parties or in clubs or whatever, and you know, we have a very special time that a lot of people will come to the club, if it's the club, at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, because then that's when lovers rock is settling in. You know, never you have lovers rock, I mean, at 11 or 12 o'clock. No party you will go to, you will hear that after 3 or after 2 a.m. in the morning, going right out in the morning. And it used to be absolutely fabulous. And a lot of us have found our loved ones, our sweetheart, girlfriend, or whatever during those periods. I mean, we couldn't do that. Like you're saying, when you're doing on culture, you're moving on to culture. It's like, it's difficult to really to find, you know, someone that you really like to dance with, you know. But lovers rock came and we're very liberated. And thank God for the beautiful and strong walls that we used to have back then. It's not like nowadays, you know, with this fragile, what you call cardboard building.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I remember Lovers Rock being played in the early hours of the morning. Yeah, it was nice at the time. It was just the in thing at the time, really. You know, nowadays people don't dance together anymore, do they? So there's no need for lovers rock in clubs or parties, because people don't really dance together again.
Well, you know? It is true, but I mean, I don't think it's relevant really to the age group, because there are, I mean, few parties lately you played. Like I said, when you go into a lot of African setting, I mean, we still play the Sandra Cross, the Janet Kay, Louisa Mack, and Judith Morton, and all of those. And among the elders, it sits very, very well. In your travels, have you been to the continent?
Yeah, well, yeah, I've been to most places. From what I can remember. You know, funny enough, would you believe that even some places that I've been to that I can't remember until somebody mentions it?
Okay.
That's how bad it is. It's like I've almost been everywhere, basically.
Right.
You know?
Right. I mean, West Africa?
We went to. I did a very small festival in Gambia.
Yeah.
In 2012.
Right.
I haven't been back since, but that was my first introduction to
in the Gambia.
Outside of the world.
Oh, right. How was that?
It was good. It was an Ariwa festival called Back to Africa.
Right.
And yeah, it wasn't like at the stadium or anything, but it was big enough, and it was quite interesting. I quite enjoyed that, actually. You know, that was my first introduction to that side of the world. You know. Right.
I mean, Gambia is such a beautiful place, isn't it?
It is, yeah, it is.
I mean, what do you remember of Gambia? I mean,
I remember just the calmness and the unity of people, you know, just that calm sort of vibe, you know, everyone, you know, love and unity, basically.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, you know, it's just amazing.
Well, we're going to take some of the tracks that you really chose, that you listen out of yourself, that, you know, one like Andrew Gold, for example. We've got other tracks that we're going to listen to. But I just want us to really dwell on some of your tracks here. And this one, it plays on all parties that I've actually been to. Hello There. Tell us about it.
Hello There. Okay.
That is UK classic, definitely. This is UK classics.
Yeah, you see, when you hear my songs, basically, sometimes I'm the one that says, yeah, I want to do this, I want to do that, and then sometimes it's the production company. So with this one, that was just like at the end of the night, we just finished recording some tracks for the new album,
okay,
and that sort of came out sort of like unexpectedly. You know, that song came out. It was a track with no vocals.
Okay.
And the vocals kind of, I hummed it, and they said, "Oh, that sounds good," you know, put it down, and we went into the vocal booth and put it down, and it sounded all right. So that, you know what I mean? It wasn't planned, basically, and that's how most of my songs are like that. Come about in that same way, you know. It's just a vibe, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you're just spontaneous, really, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I mean, like I said, this is the one that we've always partied to, and Hello There is just one of your anthems, and you listen to it, you can see and you can feel Sandra Cross all over. And this is one of my favorite.
Oh, really?
One of my favorite.
Why is that? Why is it your favorite? What memory, does it bring back any memories for you?
It's just British, really. You know, the vocal is just British, and the arrangement is just British, and it's got that feminine feel to it.
Okay.
And I love that.
Oh, thank you.
Well, let's take a listen and enjoy it all here. My special guest today, Sandra Cross, our UK female lovers rock artist. Hello There.
Feferity Radio, music and sound.
How's life been treating you?
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
It's got that UK touch to it. That sort of like lovely gentleman's approach. Hello there, nice meeting you. You know, it's beautiful. I mean, this is just a track. Especially, I remember if you are eyeing up someone on the dance floor for a long time throughout the night, and this track comes through, and then you hold that person to dance. It's just a message that, hold on a minute, I've been looking at you for such a long time, so come on, let's have it.
Oh, wow. You sound like you were a naughty man back in the day.
A little bit, you know, I mean, you guys have actually taught us to, you know, give us a little bit of touch on that. So
yeah,
we just...
you sound experienced.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a beautiful memory when we go back and look at the Lovers Rock era. I mean, we've lost a reggae artist not so long ago, Glenwood Washington.
Who?
Delroy Washington.
Oh yes.
Yeah. You know, that was a massive one, isn't it?
Yeah, that was so sad. Yeah. Yeah, man. He was a good guy.
You know, and also, I mean, a lot of UK artists, you know, I've gone, you know, the likes of Gregory Isaacs. Have you ever worked with Gregory?
Have I ever
worked with Gregory Isaac before?
No, I haven't. I didn't get a chance to, actually. No, I didn't.
Oh. I mean, tell us about Mad Professor.
What do you want to know?
I mean, Mad Professor, I mean, why he's mad? I mean, he's a very talented, you know, producer and artist as well. I mean, tell us your experience with him.
Yeah, he's kind of easygoing, you know, he's easy to work with. You know, he has great ideas. He's original, really. He's original. He don't copy nobody, you know what I mean? He's got original ideas that work most of the time, you know what I mean? And he's passionate about music, you know, and yeah, creative. He's a good guy to work with, a good producer.
And this was is this the latest track? I mean, Through Your Eyes. This is the latest one, isn't it?
That is, yes.
Is it because you, I mean, come to the realization that Lovers Rock is it's not dead, but nobody really is buying into it? Is that why you revert back to the original, you know, form of music, reggae music?
You know, Lovers Rock was a music that people danced to, innit?
Yes.
Right. So over the years, as I said earlier, people don't dance anymore. So there was no area for Lovers Rock. There is no area for it to fit in now. Where would you put it now? The Lovers Rock, you know, nowadays when you go into a dance, they play 2 seconds of the music and change it to the next. Yeah. The couples can't even get to dance. You know, yeah. Guys don't go out anymore. It's just all ladies. Yeah. You know, so things have changed a lot. So that's why it kind of Lovers Rock has to be reinvented. That's why I said, you know, you mentioned Lovers Rock nowadays. People, they think, back in the day, and they call it, they entitled it Memories. Do you remember that song? We used to do this, we used to do that. Yeah. Lovers Rock is a memory thing. You know what I mean? But we want it to work nowadays. We have to call it's reggae, because reggae is universal. Reggae is international. And Through His Eyes is an example, perfect example of what I'm saying. I'm not a Rastafarian. I'm not singing about hardships of life, but I'm singing reggae. And Through His Eyes is just the realization of spiritual connection with who we are now, basically, because I think it's all about who we are now. You know, back then was great, yes, but what's important now is who we are now and how we look at life and how we look at the world and how we look at ourselves. That is very, very important. So that's what Through His Eyes is about. Basically, you know, we have our ups and downs, and you know, we may feel ugly, may feel dirty, we may feel no good, you know, we may feel disrespected, and we may feel like nothing. But what Through His Eyes is talking about is that even though we may feel that way, through the eyes of the Almighty, we're perfect. Absolutely perfect. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, it's nothing really wrong with that. And it's such an incredible a piece of work. Especially the rhythm draws so much relation to Burning Spear. So, well, let's take a track through your eyes. I don't know about reggae music. People don't dance anymore, but we'll talk about that, after this track here, Through Your Eyes.
Okay.
I think this is an African postman reading from Burning Spear. Or Traditions, one of the two actually. I'm trying to remember now. But Through Your Eyes, Sandra Cross.
There is no color, there is no black, no white. As beauty in His sight. Through His power, He has given us. If we had the ability to see ourselves through His eyes, you would be amazed if you could see yourself through His eyes. You would see just how perfect you are. Through His power, He has made it so. If you had ability to see yourself through His eyes, na 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 na. You would be amazed if you could see yourself through His eyes. Look at the world through His
I tell you what, it doesn't matter if it's lovers rock or reggae, but she's got a distinctive sound. I love Sandra Cross there, Through His Eyes. That's a conscious one, isn't it? Conscious.
Yes, definitely, yeah.
I mean, is that Jamaican root, right? It doesn't matter if it's UK born or Jamaica, the root is still there.
It's still there, yeah. Most definitely.
I mean, do you think this is the joy for a lot of the authentic reggae producers, reggae fans who probably don't feel too much of the lovers rock and now hearing this Through Your Eyes, Sandra Cross, feeling very overwhelmed?
I didn't hear that. Sorry, can you repeat that? I didn't hear a word of that. I think the phone must have cut out. For a few seconds.
Sorry. I was saying that, it doesn't matter if it's lovers rock or not, but for the authentic reggae producers and fans who have less to do with reggae. I mean, lovers rock, thinking that it's whatever, but hearing through his eyes, we're very, very overwhelmed with with this production.
Yeah, I think that this is like a bridge across troubled waters. The troubled waters is the confusion of the industry today. And whatever, it may want to pick it and say, well, this is what you are. They might want to put it in a box of some sort. But what this track shows is that it doesn't matter, as you just said, it doesn't matter what box you want to put it in. It's real, authentic, quality music. There's no box or no name for it. The only name we can that fits it perfectly is reggae music. It's reggae music, And I'm just into quality. I'm not really into quantity. I'm into quality. And Through His Eyes is like one of the best tracks that I've done to date.
Wow.
Because it says so much. And, it's simple, but it says so much.
So much.
Yeah, and the response I'm getting from this track is kind of remarkable because I wasn't expecting the kind of response. Because I do songs, I do albums, song after song, album after album, and they come and go. But with this one, this one is putting up a big fight because there's so much interest in it. All over the world, I get, interviewed, America, Africa, everywhere. Everyone's so intrigued by this track. You know what I mean? So I feel quite honored.
And I've got a message here from Leon. It says, can you ask Sandra if she still producing music? Her music is a work of art.
In the work of art?
It says your music is a work of art.
Oh.
I mean, are you still producing music? That's the question.
Yeah. As I said, I'm always in the studio. Through His Eyes, I don't know if you know, that's from an album called My Direction. And the album is produced on the Stingray Records label. Now, Through His Eyes, that took 3 years. That album took three years. Usually, when I do an album, it takes under 8 weeks to do an album for me. But this one took 3 years.
Why so long?
Because I don't know. It was just fitting in with the waves of my life pattern. It wasn't like we did a song and we put it out. It was like we did a song and we laid it to rest for a while. We put it up on the shelf and we waited. Then probably a couple of months later, we'll come back and record the next song and we put that one up on and we waited. So My Direction is the album that it was almost like wine. You know when you put wine in a cellar and you wait for it to mature.
Ooh.
Basically, yeah, that's the only way to describe this album, My Direction. So to answer, is it Leon? Isn't it
Leon, yeah.
If I'm still producing, yeah, because even with Through His Eyes, that's, the song was already laid, so I couldn't say I was part of the production, but just, fitting my lyrics to that song was just amazing and a form of production for me, yeah. So, yeah, I still produce my song, yeah.
I mean, your works are very incredible. You've been acclaimed. The Voice here as one of the best female reggae artists. You've won so many awards. Your music has been on the chart, regardless of how much you've made, Sandra. And I'm telling you now, we the people that have been listening to you still love your work. And you are rich in our estimation of reggae female artists here in the UK and amongst all other musicians around the world.
That is nice. That's made my day. Thank you for that.
and also, I mean, as an African born in Sierra Leone, these music that I've been listening to is not just by arriving here in the UK as a young man, but also something I grew up in Sierra Leone. My parents used to play a lot of the reggae artists, musicians in our house on records, 45 and LPs. So I sort of grew up listening to this kind of music. And for me, here today, having you on talking about a little bit about your music life, because a couple of hours is not enough. But it's a great joy and a pleasure to be able to do this. It's like it's not really an ambition, but I've been working behind the scene, playing a lot of the Jamaican artists that don't even know me. But to have you here on Feferity Radio, where many people outside of the reggae scene will be able to listen to the work that you've done just a little bit, and it's a great connection.
Well, yeah, I mean, I just want to say that even though I may sound slightly wounded, the history for me, my history in terms of Love is Rock, what I'm really trying to say is that, yes, I am still recording, and yes, I am still singing, I'm still performing, but it's more on a different level now. It's a level that is more on an international level. My music, I want my music to reach every corner of the world, not just up to Manchester or Birmingham and we stop there. I want it to go over the waters and reach every corner of the earth. And that is the music that I do now, which is reggae music. And the My Direction album just says it all. It just says it. It says it all. So I mean, I'm not. I may be a little bitter about my history, but
no, you're not. You've been real.
But I love who I am now.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable with what I'm doing with myself now. I'm comfortable with my music now. I love my music, and I don't brag and I don't boast, and I'm just comfortable and grateful for my talent, and I'm happy to be able to present my music to you, yourselves, and my fans, and all over the world. And I'm grateful for the support, most definitely.
I mean, and we adore you. We respect you, and all of that. I don't think really and truly bitter is the word, Sandra. I think it is the real experience of not just you, but a lot of the black musicians here that have done incredibly well. But when you talk about financial reward, it is very difficult to come by. But what you and the others have demonstrated is that the continuity and also the determination and the strength and the will. When you started playing music at 14, nobody will expect you to have the full knowledge and awareness of what is happening and where you want to go.
No,
but having produced the last album, your new direction really tells the story of where you want to be, and that's what we respect of you.
Right. Yeah. I like the way you put it. Yeah, you put it better than how I would have. Yeah, thank you for that.
No, thank you very much for coming in. I mean, look at the time. It's almost like 9 minutes to 9. And should we do this again some other time, Sandra?
Oh, I would love to.
Because some of the tracks that you've actually selected for yourself that you listen to, like the Louisa Mack and all of that, we haven't even got time to really play all of these tracks. I mean, to talk more about you. But so far, it's been a pleasure. It's been a joy. And it's been refreshing and up to date, and that one we really truly appreciate of you.
Thank you, and it's an honor to be on your show. And of course, definitely, we must do this again soon. This is part 1, so we need to do part 2.
There you have it. There you had it. There, part 1. We're gonna do part 2. And what I'm gonna let you go with, it's not nothing that you chose, but this is something that you produced. And something that you've kept on doing and still doing, and all of us as black people and all of us as music lovers, everybody around the world is still holding on to something of yesterday, and that's when I'm going to let you go. You remember your track Holding On?
Yep.
Do you want to give us a little bit of glimpse into that?
A little bit of what?
You want to talk a little bit of that for us?
Holding On.
Yeah.
That was that Holding On. That came in the whirlwind of after the success of Country Living. So we were on a whirlwind thing.
Right.
We were just throwing out track after track after track after track like a machine, you know. And Holding On was if you listen very carefully, you'll note that it kind of sounds like a track that everyone knows, but basically you have to listen very careful for it. It's a track that I always like, and I just sort of put my lyrics on it like what I usually do.
Yeah.
But yeah, another one of my big favorites, Holding On, definitely one of my favorites.
Well, I want to say it's all of our favorite as well, and I want to say thank you very much, Sandra Cross, for being here with me, Freestyle on Feferity Radio today, and we all keep holding on, and you keep holding on, and thank you very much, part one. We're going to be doing part two very soon.
Definitely. Thank you for having me.
And thank you for coming on, and have yourself a beautiful day, and
listen, and stay safe.
Will do. Thank you.
All right then, bye.
Bye-bye. Sandra Cross there, and this is a track that I'm gonna play. I haven't finished yet. Probably I've got two more tracks to play, but it's been really a pleasure, a fulfillment to have the one and only Sandra Cross, a living legend, lovers rock artist. So much acclaim onto a name in terms of the music, and she'll still continue to produce, Leon, and she'll continue to produce. All we're gonna do is to hold on. Loving this show today. Welcome to you, Debbie Gold. I hope you're doing well. Yes, the track was Born in Spare. I think that was Tradition, Through Your Eyes. Thank you very much for all those listening around the world. My special guest today, Sandra Cross. And in case you just came in late, that will be uploaded on our YouTube channel as Feferity London. In case you haven't subscribed yet, please do so, alright? Because we're coming on every day with brand new shows for you too. In case you missed the show live here on the radio, you can listen back again. Also on Mixcloud as Feferity Radio. Shout out to Mr. Reggie. It's been a really, really pleasure today. As you've heard it, this is part one. We're going to be having and also do part two as well. She really selected some tracks. None of our own tracks, but tracks that she loves listening to, like Andrew Gold that we played. very strong, beautiful, determined sister. And still going on strong. Check her latest album, My Direction. Well, I want to thank you very much today for listening here. It's a pleasure, really. I really enjoyed the show today. Talking to someone I've been really partying to, buy her tracks, albums, and be able to speak to her today here on Feferity Radio. It's a pleasure. And also check out on our YouTube channel. Last week I spoke to Dele Soshimi, an Afrobeat artist, Goldfinger. Also to Tembe Matibesa, a South African musician. All there on our YouTube channel. And this one, Sandra Cross, will be uploaded very soon. Thanks to my team working very hard on our social media platforms to make it relevant and up to date. Thank you very much, and thank you for listening as well. Well, tomorrow is my day off, it's bank holiday, so I'm going to check in the bank and see what I've got. Well, until then, take care of yourself, be safe, and look after one another, all right? I need to have a beer now, I'm telling you straight up. You know when you feel good about yourself, you want to reward yourself?